So earlier this week on this channel, I spoke to you folks about how Donald Trump was having this surprise yearly annual physical at Walter Reed Medical Center on Friday of this week. And I thought that was strange given the fact that Donald Trump already had a yearly annual physical back in April. It's kind of weird to have one so soon after. But look, I can confidently say now that Donald Trump's test results are in from his latest medical examination, and they are not good whatsoever. Doctors, former physicians to other presidents in different administrations are raising a lot of red flags about this story. So I want to get into all of this and more right now with you. Before I do so, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about the story. And without further ado, let's dive in. Let's start here. The statement that Caroline Leavitt made before Donald Trump went to Walter Reed, kind of announcing the visit. She described it completely different than Donald Trump's doctor put it. She said, quote, "While at Walter Reed, Trump will stop by for his routine yearly checkup." That makes it seem like it's kind of like a simple checkup. You're just going into the doctor to make sure everything's okay. But the White House physician, when putting out their detailed report about Donald Trump's medical examination, showed that this was not just a random, ordinary checkup with your doctor. This was a sophisticated, advanced evaluation of Donald Trump. And this is by the admission of Trump's own personal physician. So just keep that in mind. This letter was released to Caroline Leavitt and the American people, and it's from the White House physician, and it says, quote, "Donald Trump successfully completed a scheduled follow-up evaluation today at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center." I thought that first sentence was weird as well because the White House did not tell us that Donald Trump had a scheduled follow-up at Walter Reed. And, if you're healthy as a horse, you could be president for 20 years, as the White House tried to claim, then it seems kind of weird that you're going in for another medical exam. You're going in for another checkup. If you're healthy, you don't really have to go back to the doctor. But regardless, the visit was part of his ongoing health maintenance plan and included advanced imaging, laboratory testing, and preventative health assessments conducted by a multidisciplinary team of specialists. These evaluations were performed in coordination with leading academic and medical consultants to ensure optimal cardiovascular health and continued wellness. Comprehensive laboratory studies performed in conjunction with the visit were exceptional, including stable metabolic, hematologic, hopefully I'm pronouncing these names correctly, these words I should say, and cardiac parameters. In preparation for his upcoming international travel, Trump also received a flu vaccine and an updated COVID vaccine. So MAGA is raging about that, I imagine. Or maybe perhaps it'll inspire them to get vaccinated, but whatever. Also, they continue, Trump continues to demonstrate excellent overall health, his doctor says. His cardiac age was found to be approximately 14 years younger than his chronological age. He continues to maintain a demanding daily schedule without restriction. Trump remains in exceptional physical health. So the doctor's claiming that Trump looks great, that he's exceptional, which I think anybody looking at Trump can see that that's not the case. But, the exam that this doctor is describing is vastly different than the one that Caroline Leavitt described. A routine yearly checkup does not include advanced imaging, laboratory testing, and preventative health assessments. Let's just be real here. That's not your average physical. And so the Washington Post, I should say, put out an article talking about these doctors who are raising some red flags surrounding Trump's exam. And I think that their perspective provides a lot of context here about just how weird this letter from Donald Trump's doctor is, but also the fact that he had another yearly physical, which obviously was not just a physical. But this article says Trump is in excellent health, White House says, amid questions about second exam. Sean Barbabella, the physician to the president, described the assessment done at Walter Reed Medical Center as a scheduled follow-up, even as some outside physicians asked why the president was making his second visit to Walter Reed in 6 months and questioned the tone of the report. Jonathan Reiner, a longtime cardiologist for former Vice President Dick Cheney, said the White House should be more forthcoming about the results of the latest visit, as some of the tests did not appear to be routine. Yeah. And as he and other medical experts argue that the job of determining a president's fitness is too important to entrust a hand-picked physician who appears to praise Donald Trump at any opportunity they get. But regardless, Trump, the oldest president Trump, the oldest president to be sworn in as U.S. president, has faced some scrutiny, of course, after observers and the media noticed his visibly swollen legs and his recurring bruises on his hands earlier this year. The White House said in July that Trump had a chronic venous insufficiency, a mild but chronic illness related to his age. Are they following up on concerns from when it was noted during the summer that his legs were very swollen, or are they following up on new symptoms, Reiner said. Several physicians noted that the latest report said nothing about Trump's chronic venous insufficiency. Barbabella, who is also a U.S. Navy captain, said the president underwent advanced imaging, laboratory testing, and preventative health screenings by a team of specialists. He, quote, he continues to maintain a demanding daily schedule, as we've seen. Reiner and other physicians characterized the White House assessments of Trump's cardiac age as an unusual addition to the medical report. And I agree. I don't think we've ever seen that in a medical report released by the president. It kind of seems like they're just trying to throw any information in there to make people confident that Donald Trump is healthy. Presidents are not required to undergo medical exams or reveal health information to the public, and maybe that is something that should change. But past presidents, including Trump, have generally made medical visits to Walter Reed once a year, unless there is an urgent medical issue, such as when Trump got COVID-19 in late 2020, which was a pretty serious case. So it's just kind of weird that, presidents normally only go once a year unless there is a serious issue. And then out of nowhere, Donald Trump goes for an unannounced follow-up examination at Walter Reed. Whatever. Trump previously visited Walter Reed for a battery of medical exams in April in what officials then said was an annual checkup. Following that visit, Trump's doctor deemed him fully fit. His April memo included a detailed 3-page report that contained a breakdown of Trump's vital statistics, blood test results, medications, previous surgeries, and more. And what I think is especially telling about this letter that they put out is that this letter that the White House doctor just released is very vague. It's very simple. There's not a lot of deep information in this letter, whereas the one they put out in April had a lot more information, such as age, weight, height, resting heart rate, and more. And you can see this 3-page report was far more detailed. Now, a lot of people took issue with this report back then, such as, Donald Trump being 224 pounds or 75 inches, but regardless, a lot of people took issue. But this one back in April was far more sophisticated than the one the White House just released. It's something that, something to keep in mind. But Jeffrey Coleman, who served as a White House physician to 3 presidents and details his experiences in a book, said that presidents typically visit Walter Reed to receive advanced imaging or undergo medical procedures. The military hospital also has a space to perform procedures in the privacy of a unit dedicated to the president's care. Meanwhile, the White House medical unit on the White House grounds is staffed with clinicians who provide round-the-clock care to the president. The White House can also bring medical experts on campus as needed. Quote, Coleman said, I could move anything I needed to the White House to provide diagnostics, who served as a physician to Bill Clinton, Bush, and Obama, but I can't move an MRI or a CAT scan, but I can move any scope, any person, any medication, and most of that is already pre-positioned there. So if this is a doctor who's been in this role and they say, yeah, we can move anything we need to the White House, but not an MRI or a CAT scan, that obviously indicates that Donald Trump was there for something far more sophisticated. And he said that he had his own questions about the White House evaluation of Trump's cardiac age. Quote, for a 79-year-old, best practice is to also use advanced imaging like a CT or of coronary arteries to evaluate plaque buildup and extent of blockage. The White House states that he went there for advanced imaging. They chose not to release those results. Some outside medical experts and bipartisan lawmakers have previously called for independent evaluations of presidents. But some major red flags with what the White House has done with this report surrounding Donald Trump's health, the lack of transparency, the lack of a detailed, extensive report about what happened, the lack of specificity about what this advanced imaging was, what these tests were, and all of this different stuff. It's just very, very strange. And so, look, I think this is something to keep in mind. I think it's something to be aware of. The fact that Donald Trump had this random medical exam, they're not being transparent about what happened. Other doctors who have served in the exact same role are confused by what the White House did with this examination. But I want to hear from you folks in the comments. Let me know what you think took place. Let me know what you think is going on. If there's a cover up surrounding Trump's health, if there's something wrong with him, I want to hear from you. But I will leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world that you're here. Subscribe down below, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about this story. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.